what I'm going to show you is how to properly shade. So anybody can color something in with little gaps and, kind of get a color in there, but I'm going to show you how to make it look nice and even. So make sure you put your name here and your period here. Okay, so you'll want to get some different pencils. Actually, just get one pencil at a time, but depending on whether you're shading a dark part or a light part, you want a harder pencil for the lighter part, and you want a softer pencil for the darker part. I have an ebony here that I'm going to do the 10 with, and then I'm going to start with an H pencil. H stands for hard. When I go down to do the lighter ones, I might even do a 4H for the very lightest. What you're trying to get is just like this, where this is the absolute darkest you possibly can make, and then this right here is a 0. It's nothing. There's going to be no lead here, and then a little tiny whisper of lead for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should be kind of the middle, and then all the way up to 10. So when I'm shading, I like a nice sharp pencil, and I like to turn my paper sideways. What you're going to do is you're going to shade darker here, lighter here. So if I'm pulling the pencil like this, I can actually create that dark to light by putting more pressure here, less pressure here. Almost like an airplane that's on the runway and then it takes off. On the runway, takes off. So more pressure, less pressure. I'm going to zoom the camera in, get it nice and tight so you can see what I'm doing. Let me focus it. Okay, so back to my ebony pencil. So airplane, down on the runway, up, down, lifting off, taking off. So I'm trying to get each of those marks of the pencil right next to each other. And this is helping me get this straight line here, and it's helping me fade it out. If you think of down here, the 10 is LA smog. It's really dark. On a bad day, can be hard to breathe. And then as I drive up the Cajon Pass, it's going to get lighter and lighter. The fog is going to lift, or the smog, until you get to the high desert, and there is no smog up here. So we can breathe well. One of the benefits of living here in the high desert. Okay, so push hard, light, hard, light. Notice I am not going back and forth. If you go back and forth, it's pretty near impossible to get that smooth fog look from one to the next. You're going to see lines if you do that, where one changes to the other. I'm pressing pretty darn hard here, and notice I'm going back and I'm filling in the little gaps wherever I see them. One direction. Also, very important to note that my lines are not all the same length. I don't want to just go into here. I want to make them kind of fade, and some longer than others. Now, right here, I can go sideways just to get that little end filled in. But don't do the whole thing sideways. Go this way. Okay, I'm trying to get it as close as I can to this black here. Pressing really hard, but fading out at the end. Okay, once I have that as dark as I possibly can get it, now I'm going to remember that that's a 10, and right here is about a 9. So I'm still going to press hard. I'm still going to fade, but I'm not going to go quite as hard as I went in the first place. Now, notice some of my lines here have a slight curve at the end. You want to try to straighten that. I have a hard time doing that. With more practice and paying attention, you can get those lines to be straighter. The worst thing is to actually come out and make a hook at the end. You definitely don't want to start doing that. Okay, so I'm actually starting back like halfway down the 10 and coming out, because I don't want to see where one stops and the next starts. And remember that you're going just slightly lighter. You can look here. So that's slightly darker than that, but you cannot see a line where one stops and the next starts. Remember, don't start going back and forth. I'm only shading in one direction, but you can go fast. You can speed it up. Okay, so can't point to one line where it goes from this 10 to this 9. Okay, now I'm on at 8. And remember to look over here. So it should be matched up with that. And just keep going, fading down. But I wouldn't go too far. I would actually go about this far, and then I would go down to the other end and start shading your 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and then you'll kind of know where you have to go in the middle. So I am not going to keep doing the ebony pencil. No way. I am going to go down to an H, or if I had this one sharpened, I would actually be using the 4H, but I forgot to sharpen that one. Okay, so it's a little harder with the H than the 4H. So what I'm going to do is still go from the dark end to the light end, but notice that this is going to be 0, absolutely nothing. So I'm not going to go past, like here really, but I don't want it to just stop. So I'm going to make it fade out there from a 0 to 1. So I really have to be holding that pencil back, and I have to just barely make it touch the paper. As light as you possibly can. The camera barely picks that up at all. Now it's a little harder to get the lines closer together. For one thing, this pencil is sharper. For another, I'm just trying to whisper it on there. You're not pressing hard at all. You're just touching that paper as little as you can. If you look close, you can see the lead on there. Okay, so that's supposed to be matching about here, the value, or right about here. And now I'm going to do a 2. So I just press not even press, I let it touch the paper just a little more. Notice I'm still starting here and ending up there. I'm still doing the airplane thing. So the airplane's on the runway taking off. So it's getting lighter as I come towards me. Trying not to make the little hook on the end, trying to stagger my lines and make them long and short and long and short. Trying to fill in the areas. I don't want to be able to see any line where this changes from one to the next. So that's about as good as I'm going to go there. Now I'm going to change to a 2B, which is basically a regular pencil. It's a little bit softer. So again, I'm going to keep that very light pressure, and I have to get it dark like this. So if you see this one I was working on earlier, see, it's fading from a 0 to a 1, 2, 3. That 4, if we look over here, probably needs to keep going darker. And then I'm going to go in the middle and do the 5. So let's say I've faded that other one out like this. Now I'm going to go to, I'm going to start with an HB. It's a little harder than it, actually, no, I'm going to do a 4B. A 4B. Okay, so I might come up here to the dark end, and I might keep fading here. Long and short, long and short. No hook at the end. As I do this more and more, the hook is going away, and I'm paying attention to it. So what I'm going to do is just demonstrating as if I only had to do this top row, and you might want to do this. Get your values set here, and then go down and make the rest of it match. So I need to make sure right here that this 5 ends up blending into that 4. I'm still going one direction, pulling the pencil towards me. Okay, now I'm going to skip to an 6H, so I don't have to press super hard. And I need to blend. Notice how long it takes me to do this correctly. One direction. And I can look here and see if I've got it dark enough, which I don't. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this and then show you what it looks like.